Britannia's first voyage in 1840 marked the start of a great step forward in the terms of connectivity across the North Atlantic Ocean. Sailing ships had been plying the North Atlantic for hundreds of years. There had also been a number of steamship voyages across the North Atlantic prior to the formation of Cunard. In fact, in 1838, the SS Great Western undertook a transatlantic crossing departing from Bristol in what is often considered to be the first true transatlantic line voyage across the North Atlantic Ocean. So why was the Cunard service so important? Well, the importance of the Cunard service lies in the fact that it was the first company to establish regularly scheduled transatlantic crossings, with an emphasis on regularly and scheduled. Prior to the commencement of the Cunard service, there was no service that both departed and arrived with precise regularity. Sailing packets were entirely at the mercy of prevailing winds and currents. Although they could depart to a schedule, there was no guarantee of when they would arrive. The steamships that had already undertaken crossings prior to Cunard's first voyage, such as Great Western and its main rival the Sirius, could maintain a schedule, but weren't able to provide a regular departure due to the scale of the line and the funds available to upscale the operation. With the introduction of Cunard's first 4 ships, Britannia, Acadia, Caledonia and Columbia, the company could maintain a regular fortnightly schedule. These ships carried both mails and passengers, and the mail contracts that Cunard held helped the company flourish in the early years, while also improving business connections on both sides of the Atlantic. On the 14th of April 1912, the White Star liner Titanic hit an iceberg on its maiden voyage in the North Atlantic Ocean and sank with a tremendous loss of life. Cunard's Carpathia was the first ship on the scene and took aboard Titanic's estimated 712 survivors in the early morning of April 15th. Carpathia departed the scene with those rescued as a strong storm front crossed over the wreck site. Apart from helping save hundreds of lives, Carpathia's actions were important. Having safely transported the survivors of the Titanic to New York, key witnesses from the Titanic were called on to give evidence in the inquiries surrounding the disaster. As a result of those inquiries, key changes were made to the safety of life at sea aboard ships, many of which endure to this day. This includes a law mandating lifeboat space for all persons on board, something that did not exist for British flag ships prior to the Titanic disaster. Another change was the creation of the Safety of Life at Sea Conventions, or SOLAS, which, although having been updated many times since 1912, does still exist to this day and does have its origins back in that post-Titanic era. Additionally, the International Ice Patrol was established, greatly improving safety for ships transiting the North Atlantic Ocean. If the Titanic survivors had not made it to New York safely, then their stories would have been lost. Carpathia's captain and her crew were widely regarded as heroes due to their actions that night. As if the Titanic survivors had not made it to New York, the fate of Titanic, and the way in which her safety measures failed, might have never been known, and the subsequent safety improvements may have never been implemented. This is often a controversial one, because a number of other shipping lines have claimed the title of having had the first world cruise. But Cunard claims the first continuous world cruise title, based on the 1922-1923 voyage of their vessel Laconia. Laconia's world cruise itinerary was undertaken with just one ship, which differentiated it from many earlier circumnavigation voyages, which required passengers to change vessels at various ports. Furthermore, passengers did not have to disembark Laconia to make segments by alternative travel methods, such as rail. Laconia completed a full circumnavigation of the world, calling at 22 ports, and although she didn't visit now popular cruise destinations such as Australia and New Zealand, her voyage remains a milestone in the development of cruising. In recognition of this feat, the ship was presented with the Laconia Cup, which has since been displayed aboard QE2, Queen Victoria and Queen Mary II. Sir Winston Churchill was the one to make this particular claim. During World War II, many ships from Cunard as well as many British shipping companies were requisitioned for use as troop carriers and hospital ships. Among those requisitioned were the giant RMS Queen Mary and RMS Queen Elizabeth, the latter of which had not yet entered service or undergone her builder's trials. These were two of the biggest ships in the world, and when they were converted into troop ships, they became the largest troop ships the world has ever seen. After their initial conversions, they were able to carry up to 10,000 people and were used to transport Australian and New Zealand troops to North Africa. However, when the United States entered the war, the Cunard Queens were given further refurbishments, allowing them to carry even more people, upwards of 15,000 per voyage. In fact, the Queen Mary still holds the record to this day of carrying the most people on board a passenger ship, 16,683 people on a single crossing. To manage this number of people on board, there were strict rules about who could move, where and when, to ensure the stability of the ship wasn't compromised. The wartime story of Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth deserves its own video, so keep an eye out on my channel for a video about that in future months. The ability of the Cunard Queens to transport such a large number of troops so quickly is what led Winston Churchill to say that they helped to shorten the war by at least a year. While Cunard is known for being the first shipping line to offer regularly scheduled transatlantic crossings, it's also famous for being the last shipping line to do so. Following the introduction of QE2 in 1969, all of the other transatlantic liners gradually retired from service, leaving QE2 as the last of her kind undertaking scheduled Atlantic crossings. QE2 maintained this service on the North Atlantic until she was replaced on that route by the RMS Queen Mary II, which entered service in 2004. QM2 was the first transatlantic liner designed since the QE2 entered service, which makes her unique in the age of the modern-day cruise ship. You can learn about some of QM2's unique design traits in my video interview with her designer Stephen Payne, which is in the info card above. QM2 has continued to offer regularly scheduled transatlantic crossings since her introduction into service. And QE2's retirement in 2008 left QM2 as the only ship offering a regular transatlantic crossing, meaning the ship is the only regular means of ocean-going passenger travel across the North Atlantic. Such an offering has numerous benefits. It provides those unable to fly with a means of transport, a benefit that became extremely important in 2010, when the Icelandic volcano eruption grounded air travel, leaving QM2 as one of the only means of getting from Europe to America. In addition, the ship's services provide a link to a bygone era, giving people an option to travel aboard an ocean liner at sea. Although QM2's schedule in 2020 has been interrupted by the coronavirus pandemic and the subsequent cruise pause, it is expected that her services will resume once the current crisis passes. Cunard has had a long history, and there have been many other times when the company and its ships have made an impact on the world. So what would be your top 5 times that Cunard changed the world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to know more about Cunard's history, check out our new book, 180 Years of Cunard, which traces the history and evolution of the Cunard Line and its ships. The link to this book is in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. If you want to see more history content, check out my history playlist. Otherwise, if you're interested in cruise news, please take a look at my cruise news playlist. Thanks so much for watching, and when we are able to cruise again, I hope to see you on board.